Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say, Kahala Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Rakaha Kwadash. So all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles that labored in this truth before me and taught me this truth, and shalom to the hopeful elect. And man, I want to do a response to this video, this short I seen, man, you know, about this Jake. He's upset that this so-called white man, this Edomite looking man, you know, is defending slavery and tying it to Christianity, man. And it's funny, like, this video is old, but you know, you go back into his video, I see another video of this brother, he was breaking down Revelation the 17th chapter. You know what I mean? Something Christians shouldn't do, man. They should not touch the prophecies because they go all the way off. Right, but you know what I mean, this video right here just points out the confusion of our people, right? You know what I mean, the Hebrew Israelites, when we say certain things, you know, we're a hate group, we're demons, you know what I mean, we have no understanding. But then when your own Christian brothers try to use your religion to justify slavery, you don't got the same smoke for them, man. So let's start this up, man.
Have you seen this video of a pastor preaching to his congregation?
I'm sure there's a lot of Africans that were brought over into slavery, which wasn't right, but they got the gospel when they got here. You know, what would be better? For them to have lived their entire life in Africa free, doing their voodoo or whatever, or what happened?
First of all, your gospel is clearly not my gospel.
And see, he said, your gospel is not my gospel, but the gospel they're preaching is your gospel, man. That they can rape, rob, and murder you, and they did you a favor by teaching you about Jesus, right? And let's get this real quick, man. Right, this is Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. We'll start at verse 15, man, just for context. It says, Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All right, let's jump down. Let's jump down, man. Right? Verse 64. Where is it at? Right, it says, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there shalt thou serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy father have known, even wood and stone, right? And Jesus is another God. Our fathers didn't know this man, right? And if you keep watching this video, they're going to talk about how there was Christians in Africa before the enslavers came. But you know what else there was in Africa before the enslavers came? There was Israelites. You know, right? And we weren't calling on the name Jesus. The name is Yahushua, man. That's the Messiah's name, right?
The gospel, I know, is good news to the oppressed, not a good
right.
excuse.
And this, see, look at this. See, he'll highlight the fact that the Messiah came for the oppressed. But who are the oppressed? Right? Who are the oppressed, man? They'll never answer that question. Right? Actually, let's get this in Deuteronomy. It's a lot. Right? Right here in the curses. Verse 20, Deuteronomy 28 and 29, right? It says, and thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee, right? And we have identified the blacks, so-called black, Hispanics, and Native Indians as the true biblical Israelites. Why? One of the ways you can identify them is through these curses. And people try to downplay these curses, man. But it tells you that these curses are going to be upon you for a sign, man. Right, here's another. Verse 45 says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy God to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee, and they shall be upon thee for a sign, right? And a wonder upon thy seed forever, right? So the only way we're going to get out of these curses is the Most High God reverses them, man. These curses are a sign, man. He said that the Messiah came for the oppressed. But then we'll sit back and say that the Most High God loves everybody. That's not scriptural. That's not based off the scripture, man. That's based off the book of your heart, man. Moving on.
For oppression. But second, and very important, Christianity already existed in West and Central Africa well before white enslavers stole my ancestors. In fact, historians found a letter written in the year 1619, where a Catholic bishop was outraged that more than 4,000 African Christians had been captured by slave traders in...
And right, and this guy is deceived because he keeps saying African Christians, African Christians. The people that were enslaved were not Africans, man. Those were Israelites. We're gonna prove that. Let's go here to Joel 3, and we'll go to right, and you can tell this is end time prophecy. This is all going into the latter days, man. You see that in verse 1. It says Joel 3 and 1, and you see that even the title. Hey, man, the well, shit, Salaki. It says the nations will be judged, right? Verse 1. For behold, in those days, in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Israel. I mean, Judah and Jerusalem. This is talking about all 12 tribes, right? Bringing them back into their homeland, right? Verse 2. I will also gather all the nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Right? It tells you right here that the nations have parted the land, right? And you get this word for plead, it's shapat, right? Shapat, right? To judge, govern, vindicate, punish, to execute judgment. The Most High God is going to execute judgment on the nations for what they have done to his people and part of his land, right? Let's get this in let's go here. Ecclesiastes. No, not Ecclesiastes. Ezekiel 36 and 5. Well, I started 2. Says this is the book of Ecclesiastes 36 and 2. Says, thus saith Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because the enemy has said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession, right? I'm going to jump down to verse 5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, and with joy of all their heart, with spiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey, right? But it tells you that these heathens have taken the high places into their own possessions, right? And then it tells you, verse 5 tells you what heathen has taken the higher places into their possession, right? And then when you get the book of St. Luke, right? St. Luke chapter 21 and 24, the Messiah prophesies of 70 AD, right? Let's see if I can get the I don't think it says it in Luke's version, but it talks about the abomination of desolation. That's talking about the temple being sacked, right? What you get 67 AD, 6 or 7 AD to 73 AD, and in the middle is 70 AD, right? When the Israelites are expelled out of their homeland, man. Let's read this. St. Luke chapter 21, verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captives into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled, right? Time of the Gentiles haven't been fulfilled because all 12 tribes aren't dwelling in the Holy Land, ruling in righteousness. The Messiah hasn't come back yet, right? That's why you got here in Joel, it tells you, Joel 3 and 1, right? Or Joel 3 and 2 says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Right? So as the Israelites are still scattered, that means they're still under the curses. That means the time of the Gentiles are still going on. That means the people in the Holy Land are not the people of the book, man. It's simple. Right, let's get this word for Jehoshaphat in the Hebrew. Right? What's this? Yahweh Shaphat, right? Yahweh Shaphat, right? Yahweh has judged, right? Symbolic name for a valley near Jerusalem, which in the place of ultimate judgment, right? Maybe the deep ravine, whatever it's saying, but it's letting you know, man. This is the last time. This is the end times, brother. You know what I mean? Right, let's read on. Joel 3:3 says, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they may drink. And this is what they did with our people, man. They sold our people like cattle for money, for wine, for whores. They even made our sons and daughters whores, right? These enslavers were raping the men and the women. Completely vile, disgusting. Right? People try to say, well, you need to forgive that. Or they'll say, my people didn't own slaves. Your particular family may not have, but you all benefited from it. Everybody benefited from it. All these nations benefited from it, man. If you immigrated here in the 1800s and you didn't have slaves, you still benefited from what the slaves had did here, man. Why would you come to a country where you know that they slaughtered the natives and then they enslaved the Negroes? Why would you come here? This place is God forsaken, man. It's built on wickedness. And you would come here for a better opportunity. How are you getting that better opportunity? Off the backs of the people that died to build this place, whose blood soaked this land, man. Let's get this in the book of Numbers, man. Right? Numbers 35 and 33. And it reads, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Right? So these people have completely defiled this land. Everything about America is defiled, man. America is Babylon the Great. It's going to be destroyed. And these people don't want to accept that. Why? Because they service the things of this world, man. They don't love the Most High. They love the things of this world, right? Let's get this in Mark the 8th chapter and verse 33. I started 31. It says, and he began to teach that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and of the chief priests and the scribes and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And he spoke that saying openly, and Peter took him and began to rebuke him. Verse 33, but when he had turned about and looked on his disciples, he rebuked Peter, saying, get thee behind me, Satan, for thou savorest not the things of the that be of the Most High, but the things that be of men. Right? And that's the problem with, pretty much everybody, but especially our people, man. They savor the things of this world and not the things of the Most High, right? Let me get this in let's get this real quick. Not my ways, man, because your ways are not the Most High's ways, man. The Most High has given you a whole book of what he pleases, how he moves, how he operates. And instead of reading the book and understanding, people want to write their own, they want to write their own narrative for the Most High God. This is the same God that killed all the firstborn in Egypt. Right? And people will say, well, why do I got to get punished? Because of what my ancestors did. Well, you think the firstborn in Egypt did anything? The Pharaoh refused to let the Israelites go, and all of Egypt got punished, man. Everybody's firstborn child was killed, slaughtered viciously. And you don't think the Most High God, that's how he's going to operate in this time to the people that have raped, robbed, and murdered his people, the so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the true biblical Israelites for 400 years? Come on, man. This is crazy, right? This is book of Isaiah, chapter 55 and verse 8. It says, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, saith Yahweh. Right? For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts, right? Because the Most High God made this world for the Israelites, right? it really starts with the holy seed, the chosen people, right? Because it's a bloodline going from Adam, which was a nation of people, not just one man. Because how did Cain find a wife, right? There was more than one. There was more than just Adam and Eve in the earth, man. Because when you read the book of Genesis, it talks about how Adam had sons and daughters that aren't even listed. But the book follows a holy line, right? You got Adam, you got Seth, you got Methuselah, you got Arphaxad. That's the holy seed, right? And it continues all the way down to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all the way to the Messiah, Yahushua, and then further on into the people that are here today, right? The so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians who are in captivity today, the children of the captivity, right? The Most High God is putting his people through a refining process so that they can come back and rule in righteousness, right? Because none of these nations are going to be able to rule in righteousness, right? Where are we at? Let's go back here. Joel 3 and 4. It says, "Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine?" Right? And when you look at Tyre and Zidon, these are Hamites, man. Let's prove that. Tyre. Salak. Let's do this. Watch this. Does Tyre and Zidon come from Ham? Yes, according to the biblical table of nations in Genesis 10, Zidon and the inhabitants of Tyre are descendants of Ham through the son Canaan. Right? These are Africans, man. These are Africans, right? And you're going to see why it's important as we keep going, right? Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? Back in Joel 3 and 4. It says, and all the coast of Palestine. And see, this is another cut, man. People were talking like, they would talk about, oh, well, we don't know what what so-called Jesus looked like. He was Middle Eastern. But Tyre and Zidon were inhabiting the land of Israel, right? They're Canaanites, right? What did the Israelites speak? They spoke the language of Canaan. They took over the land of Canaan. That's the Holy Land. Africans were living there, right? And let's get this really quick. Right? Hittites Bible map. Let's see. Right? People will say this shit talking about the what's it called? Sub-Saharan Africa. But the Hittites are Africans. And look at these, they living way up here. This is the Hittites right there. Europe is right here. The Black Sea, right? Let me see if I can highlight this. I can't highlight it. But anyways, you see the Hittites. They're up here, right? You got Canaan down here, right? Down near Egypt, next to the Great Sea, right? It was dark-skinned people all throughout this land. So that's another, just stupid argument, man. People are uneducated and don't know anything. That's especially these Americans, man. Americans are some of the dumbest people in the world. It's just facts. All right, moving on, man. Keep reading here in Joel 3 and 4. It says, will ye render me recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? Because you have taken my silver and my gold and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasures, goodly pleasant things. Right, here's the point. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their borders. Right, so that's why. Matter of fact, let's get this. Go back here in the curses, man. Because people like to scoff at the curses. But these are easy way to tell who the children of Israel are, right? All right, so this is Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spoke unto thee, thou shalt see it no more. And there shall ye be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, right? And that word buy just means redeem. No one's going to save you. MLK ain't going to save you. Malcolm X ain't going to save you. Kamala Harris ain't going to save you. Joe Biden not going to save you. Donald Trump damn sure ain't going to save you, right? Only person that can save you is the Most High God, Yahweh, right? Let's get this, because this is proving it's a bondage, right? This word Egypt is just talking about slavery, right? Exodus 13 and 3. And Moses said unto the people, remember this day in which ye came out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, for by strength of hand Yahweh brought ye out of this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten, right? But this is going to show you, man, Egypt is likened unto, Egypt simply means the house of bondage, right? We're going back into slavery by ships, right? The most popular, the most famous, infamous slavery was the transatlantic slave trade, which didn't start with the Negroes. It actually started with the Taino Indians and the natives over here, right? Who were Israelites. They were getting taken back to Europe, Portugal, Spain, things like that. And then they started bringing the Negroes over to America, because that's prophecy, right? If you read Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter, what was I about to get? I was about to get something. Matter of fact, let's go with the spirit, man. Jeremiah, 3rd chapter, right? And let's start. We'll go straight to the point. Jeremiah 3 and 18. In those days, the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers, right? So it's telling you right here, when the true Israelites go back to the land, they're going back together, right? Out of the land of the north, right? And that land of the north is North America, Mystery Babylon, specifically America, right? It's specifically United States, man. That's Mystery Babylon, right? The great whore that sits upon many waters, right? Because when you get Revelation, the 17th chapter, it tells you that the whore that sits upon the beast, right? Revelation 17:18 says, and the woman which thou sawest is the great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth, right? And we know there's going to be 4 major kingdoms. When you go to Daniel, the 2nd chapter, you get the Syrians and the Babylonians, right? Really the Babylonian Empire. Then you get the Medo-Persians. Then you get the Greeks. Then you get the Romans. Then you get a little horn that comes out of the Romans, the rebirth of the Roman Empire, which is Mystery Babylon, right? And who's going to be ruling Mystery Babylon? Who's going to be ruling the last kingdom before the Messiah comes, right? We're going to tell you. 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, and I'll start at verse 7. It says, Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or what shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, right? So when the Messiah comes, he's going to be coming back to a world that's ruled by the Edomites. It's not about color. It's not about skin pigmentation. It's about prophecy, man. And this is what Christians don't want to go into. They don't want to go into these prophecies, man. They don't want to get into this, right? Because it paints a perfect picture, right? So let's get back here to Joel 3. I'm reading 6 again just for the point. It says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Verse 7, behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. Right, so he's gonna raise the places they were sold to. We just read Deuteronomy 28:68. They're gonna be on ships, going to slavery upon ships into the house of bondage. Right, a spiritual Egypt. When you look at the back of a dollar, man. Let's get this. Right. What is this? What is that, man? Why is there a pyramid on the back of the dollar, man? This is the house of bondage, right? It's the house of bondage, man. Right. So yeah, verse 7. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whether ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people afar off, for Yahweh has spoken it. Right. And that's pretty much it on this, man. But the whole point is, bro, this is talking about, you know what I mean, the true biblical Israelites going back to the homeland. And let's get this in verse 19. It says, Joel 3:19 says, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Right? But Judah shall dwell forever in Jerusalem from generation to generation. The northern and southern kingdom have never dwelt in the land forever. They only dwelt in the land under King Solomon for 40 years, man. After that, the kingdom was split. Right? The kingdom was split, and the two tribes have not been together ever since then, man. Right? But here's the prophecy. Right. Watch this. Jeremiah 15:33. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Right? And we just read in Jeremiah the 3rd chapter, they're going to be oppressed together and leave out of that oppression together. Right? They're going to leave out of the land of north together where they were captive. Jeremiah is telling you that they were oppressed together. That never happened in history. The only place that happened is the place where it's told to them they are not the people, man. Let's get that. Hosea 1, and we'll start at 9. It says, Then said the Most High, call his name Lo-I-Me, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall it be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God, man, the living power. Right? Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land. For great shall be the day of Jezreel, right? But who's that one head? That's the Messiah. Yahweh Shai is going to be the king over us, man. It's not going to be Bibi Netanyahu. Bibi Netanyahu, not a Jew, right? It's not going to be him, right? And it's not going to be just one tribe there, right? Because really, these people, they claim to be Jews, but they only claim to be Judah, maybe Benjamin, maybe Levi. Where's the whole the northern kingdom? They'll say that's the 10 lost tribes. How are they lost if you're in the land, right? How are you, the people of the book, you're in the land committing all types of abominations, right? Let's get this in, I believe it's 2 and 23. Right. Yeah, I'll read this. Hosea 2:23, and I will sow her upon me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy, and I will say to them which were not my people, thou art my people, and they shall say, thou art my God. Right? This is talking about the Israelites, man. Let's get this in Ezekiel 37th chapter. Right? Because hey, this Jake, he'll come against this slave master guy, but he probably believes, I don't know what he believes, but he more than likely, if you're a Christian, you believe that the people in the Holy Land are the true Israelites, which is crazy as hell. Let's get this. It's Ezekiel 37 and verse 21, right? And say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, right? We're as we are today, we're among the heathen, being called by the names of the heathen, right? That's why in the New Testament it's talking about the Gentiles, the strangers, right? That's us being brought back into the fold. We're the children that have to be adopted, right? Because in Hosea it says, "You are not my people," right? But in the place where it says, "You are not my people," you'll be called sons of the living God, right? People are quick to scoff us and say, "Y'all not the Israelites, y'all not the Israelites." But who else fits these prophecies, right? When the small hat says he's the Israelite, there's no problem. But as soon as we say it, there's all types of problems. But we go into these scriptures and break it down, man. Right? We prove who we are by the Bible that you people don't believe in. You talking about, where's your 21 and me? Why the hell would I let somebody else tell me who I am when someone's been telling me who I am for centuries, man? Been telling me I'm a black, I'm a nigger, I'm a spick, a wetback, or a savage, an Indian. Nah, bro. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the sons of the living God. The Israelites are gonna rule on this earth in righteousness, man. Right? Right. So, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore. This is end time prophecy. This is talking about when the Israelites go back to the land, they're going to have one king. They're going to be gathered out of the heathens, gathered from amongst the heathens, right? And they won't be divided anymore. They're going to have one king and not two nations. If you tell me you're all are the Jews, but you don't know where the northern kingdom is, that means the kingdom is still divided. You're not fitting prophecy, man. You're deceiving the world, right? Verse 23. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with idols, nor with detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. How is this talking about the people in the land? They'll say that the Israelites going back to the land was fulfilled in 1948, but these people are doing all types of iniquity. They shave their face bald. They have the biggest pride parade in Tel Aviv, right? Where is this? Let me get this. God. Right? This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 9 and verse 6. It says, and a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines, right? But who's the bastard dwelling in Ashdod, right? Let's see if I can get this real quick. Let's get this real quick. Let's get this. What is it, 9 and 6? Yeah, 9 and 6. Boom, watch this. Let's see where Ashdod is, man. It's all prophecy, man. All that matters is prophecy, man. What the hell y'all talking about? You know what I mean? I ain't talking about nothing. Ashdod, right? A place in Palestine, right? Palestine, right? A major Philistine city on the Mediterranean Sea, west of Jerusalem, modern Ashdod, right? But it's talking about, man, a bastard's gonna be dwelling in Jerusalem, right? we going through this line upon line, right? Moving on, man. Ezekiel 37 and 23, right? Where was he? It says, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and I will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God, right? We just read that in Hosea. This is talking about the Israelites, man. This is talking about the Israelites. It's simple, right? Verse 24, and David, my servant, shall be king over them. Where's King David? Why is he not ruling out of Israel, right? And they shall have one shepherd. Who's the one shepherd? That's Yahweh Shai, man. And they shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them, right? And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. Where's King David, man? Where's Yahweh Shai? Where's the Messiah? These people say they're still waiting for the Messiah, right? They shouldn't be in that land, right? Pretty much it on that. Let's go. Let's finish this video.
Angola. This means that it is likely that there were Christians among the very first Africans sold on American soil.
Right, and then he goes with the African. We just proved that the people that were sold were Israelites, man. They weren't Africans. Africa is a whole continent. Right, we got to get out of this black, this African, all these bywords and proverbs and bywords, man. Let's get that. Another curse. People labeling who we are, man. Right, it's Deuteronomy 28th chapter and verse 37, right? And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, where the Yahweh shall lead thee, man. All right, let's go back.
3. At some point, Christians have to ask themselves, what is it about their faith that allows it to so easily
and they say, let him finish.
Fit within the Africans sold on American soil. Thing 3. At some point, Christians have to ask themselves, what is it about their faith that allows it to so easily fit within the framework of white supremacy? So no, we didn't need your bastard.
Right. What allows them to easily fit into the framework of white supremacy? This right here. Right? And this is prophecy. Man, let's get this. This is history and prophecy. Watch this. Job 9 and 24, right? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof, if not, where and who is, right? That's called iconoclasm, right? They changed they changed what the angels look like. They changed what the Messiah looked like. They changed what the Israelites look like. They changed what the Most High looked like. Why? To fit their white supremacy, their Renaissance thinking, man. It's simple, man, because the scriptures describe what the Israelites look like, man. Let's get one description. All right, we'll just get the Messiah, man. All right. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool. Right? It's telling you white is the color, wool is the texture. Who has woolly hair? That's Afro hair he's talking about. This so-called black people have this, man. Right? As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet were like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as a sound of many waters. Right? But it's telling you, the Messiah was a dark-skinned man. You know what I'm saying? It's simple, bro. Most everybody in the world was dark-skinned. It's not even it's not even like a surprise that he would be dark-skinned coming from that region. And we just showed you that the Hittites were living all the way up, like modern-day Turkey. Those were Africans were living there, right? Africans were living all throughout the Middle East. And then you had the seed of Shem, who were dark-skinned people, right? Japheth was dark-skinned people. The only people that lacked melanin were the Edomites, right? And even a lot of them were dark-skinned, right? But, you know what I mean? They had that recessive gene, the blue eyes, blonde hair. A lot of Edomites are pale skinned, right? That's a genetic marker of them, recessive genes, right? So when you say the Messiah and the Israelites were dark skinned, that's not a surprise. It's only a surprise if you live in white supremacy, right? If you believe in this guy, Cesare Borgia, the homosexual, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's a spirit this whole nation is. That effeminate putting on dresses, men wearing dresses like this guy Bad Bunny wearing dresses and shit like that, you know? It's just, hey, man, I don't know, right?
Bastardized version of Christianity then, and we certainly don't need it now. If you enjoyed content about history,
and this guy's talking about a bastardized version of Christianity, y'all bastardized the Bible with all this bullshit, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, man, this is what the scriptures say right here, man. All right, you can't get away with the judgment, man. This book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints, man. And let's get this before we close out. Who are the saints? Right, who are the saints, man? Let's get this. Psalms 50 and 5. Gather my saints together unto me, those who have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. So the saints are waiting for those that put them in captivity to go into captivity. Those that killed their family members with the sword to be killed with the sword. Right? That's the patience of the saints. That's what the saints are waiting for. Right? And then we can go look at this real quick. We'll go back to St. Luke 21. Right? Because remember that. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Right? Here's what the saints went through. St. Luke 21 and 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down by Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, right? So the saints are waiting for, matter of fact, what kingdom facilitated this? Is the Roman Empire, right? And the Romans are still here today. These Edomites, these so-called white men and women, right, they'll sit up here and boast about being the Greeks and the Romans until you bring it out in scriptures that they are the Greeks and the Romans, the ones that pierced the Messiah, the ones that enslaved the Israelites, right? The Grecians that Tyre and Zidon sold the Israelites to, right? The children of Judah to, right? And then we read in Revelation, the Messiah said, hey, man, they gonna get their recompense. What they did is gonna come back on them, man. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, Christianity is done. America is done. Hey, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, repent, because it's high time to awake up out of sleep, man. Stop trying to make peace with your enemies, and you know what? Become better than them by getting in these scriptures and worship the Most High God, Yahweh, in spirit and in truth, so we can rule over them in righteousness and show them the right way to do this, man. Because they're killing the earth with no regard, man. They don't care. We got Mr. Stein out here eating children. They talking about he eating kids. He got a... You know what I mean? Doing all types of iniquity and abomination, because these are the wicked. It's the wicked that bear rule in the earth, man. Right, and hey, that's all I got to say. I want to say all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Until next time, amen. Shalom.